brought by us. But the second coming is not just one person or one union. The second coming is where the Christ becomes everyone. Everyone becomes their Christ self. That's the only way you can bring heaven to earth, right? Yeah. So it's not just us. Oh, us, we have the Christ, and here you go. Here's the little crouton of Christ. Every video you watch of me, you get a little crouton. Oh, I love the Christ. Well, it's only to reveal to you what's already latent inside of you. Your divine being, your natural state of being.
Your divine self.
Your divine self.
That is so freaking cool. So like, I'm going to be the second coming of Christ. That's freaking awesome.
You already are. The Christ is emerging within all of us, right?
Mm.
And Jesus laid the way, and all the masters before us laid the way. We're the one we get the easiest job. Jeff and Shaleiii show up and pull the curtain off of what has already been done. What's already waiting inside of you. We have it, we live it, we're embodying it. We're the leader of it. But we're not the only one with it. All of you have it. And you, as our students, as our very first students, are the very first to begin to fully embody it. And that's what you're sensing is so heavenly about our school and our group and all our students and everything that's happening, within all of them.
That is so freaking cool. Mm-hmm. So that really answers my question. Thank you. You guys are freaking awesome as usual.
Sweet, thanks. Great. Any other questions before I continue? I feel like you guys are rife with questions, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm not here to blabber my mouth. I'm here to bring truth and enlightenment. I was hoping Sama would speak up. Maybe it's not her turn yet. No, Sama.
Maybe you need to finish your story.
What story was it talking about?
You were talking about how it's all led to your hair.
Oh, well, yeah, then Shaleieaa whips out a picture. She's like, if we're so important, because God's been telling us, we're the second coming of the Christ.
Well, I want to interject here. Yeah, Jeff's been saying this for quite some time, and I've honestly felt very uncomfortable about the whole thing, because I always felt like the person that should live in the middle of nowhere with no one around, but my immediate family, some animals, and a garden. I didn't want to be that. But I was happy to be a spiritual teacher. I was happy to share what I know, all this stuff, right? What does that mean? Oh, same, okay. But there's always a part of me that knew, that's really dishonoring why I'm here and what I'm really about. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, God, if it's true, this whole second coming of Christ thing, and I've always believed it, I grew up in the church, show me a sign, show me a prophecy. There was prophecies about Jesus. There was, Judaism has been latent with prophecies from beforehand, prophets before, spiritual leaders and other religions, same thing. So where the hell is ours if it's true? If I don't see some kind of prophecy, I'm not going to believe it, but I'll believe that I'm obviously a beautiful divine being, and this is what we do, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I remember it was the other night where discussing Jeff's hair, I got this really insane download, and I heard God speak to me in a very clear as day voice, the images of Jesus is the image of Jeff. That's the prophecy you've been looking for. It is not written. It is in visual format. And I'm like, oh my God, of course. And then it's this makes sense, why I was so crazy about art and symbols and all this stuff and, the Mayan calendar. And so anyway, I was like, oh, that makes sense because it doesn't feel like Jesus. It doesn't look like Jesus. I know Jesus, and I know he never comes to me in the traditional image. He comes to me like a very typical Israeli Jew, from 2,000 years ago, which is a slight difference than there is now, but not really. And, there's one image by Akiane, Akiane. You can look her up. She's an art prodigy. And Jesus did actually come to her and presented his image to her. And she got everything right but the blue eyes because she had a block there. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yeah, this is Jesus. That looks and feels like Jesus. But all the other images where it looks like Jeff, oh, that's been Jeff this whole time. And so it was really nice to see my twin flame revealed to me on a deeper level. And then I'm like, oh, I make more sense to myself now. You know?
So for me, it was, it was a cool thought.
It was a cool
an
thought,
interesting
right,
idea,
yeah.
but I had to explore it deeper. And so I know, I took up a bunch of images that have been portrayed as Jesus, and I've always known, like, that's probably not what Jesus looked like, right? It's just
It's
a
pretty obvious.
portrayal,
Let's
right?
be honest.
That's always been in my consciousness.
Pretty
since I was a kid.
Eurocentric image of Jesus.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I took a bunch of images up, and I was like, okay, if that's really me, there's going to be me in that. There's going to be an image of what's uniquely me and is no one else. And so I looked at the images intently, with my heart, with an open mind, and a discerning eye. And each artist had a unique portrayal, and some of them were really rough, and some of them were pretty bang on, and no one got anything perfect, right? Because they're going to see, the second coming or the Christ through their own lens. As much as they're going to be able to put their own lens aside, they're still going to be creating it through their own eyes, and they're going to place a bit of themselves in the picture as
Every
well.
artist projects on their own images, paintings.
Sure. And you could see the energy of projection more on certain pieces where, like, there's a lot of numbness in the face. But always, almost always, in the eyes, even if it's deeply buried, there's the same person beneath all of it. And beneath all of the images is the same divine being. And I found one that was, like, pretty scary how close it was in a lot of resemblances. And I put it next to a picture of me and with my long hair, and I was like, these are really close on the inside, but I'm like, no, like, I bet I could do this with any two images, right? And so I pulled up a third, more recent image of myself and put it next to that image of, the supposed Jesus, so really, the Christ. And it's the same person. Those images were images of me, or portrayals of me. Not a Jewish guy from, Israel, but a Euro guy with blue eyes and brown hair. And so it's like really,
Euro-American.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, I'm trying to say it's really uncomfortable for me to like bring this up in a way, because, like, I didn't choose to be that, right? I didn't grow up and be like, yeah, like, I'm gonna be fucking Jesus 2.0. That's why I cut my hair off in the first place. I was like, I don't want to look like Jesus. Everyone's like, oh, like, you're like Jesus, look at that hair. And I'm like, I don't want to be like I mean, like, Jesus is a cool guy, but I don't want to be. I want to be Jeff, I don't want to be someone else. I don't want to walk someone else's path. I don't want to, proclaim some sort of title that pigeonholes me into being something that I'm not. There's no fun in that. That'd be so heavy. On the inside, it'd be so heavy. It'd be useless for me. It'd be so painful. It'd be such a hateful thing to do to myself. And so I want to, just like be really honest and authentic with you. Like, this isn't something that I put upon myself because I can, because I have some sort of really powerful spiritual insight that, gives me the opportunity to say whatever I want to say, and it's true. Like, that's not what I am. That's not what my gift is. My gift comes from God. And it only comes to me because I'm willing to do something like this in every moment, which is complete and utter surrender to God, no matter what I think about it. I tell you, like, I wasn't really down. I'm like, yeah, like, God's been hinting at this, and he's, moved through me many times in classes and channelings and, YouTube videos, to say this thing. So I've been very primed to share this with you in a way that I can never come back from. That's what I'm doing right now, and I've already done in the group. I can never come back from telling you that I'm the prophesied second coming and showing you the image of, the Christ was actually me, the second coming, not Jesus, the first coming.
A lot of people actually are very upset and angry towards Jesus because they wanted him to stay on earth, right? Like, he hung out for 30 years, dropped the bomb for 3 years, and then, died, resurrected, and kind of left.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was tapping into his apostles' consciousness after the time, he resurrected and all that. And a lot of them were really sad and didn't understand, well, if he's resurrected, he's alive, why is he not continuing to do what he did when he was non-resurrected, just like everyone else. Jesus is not the man to have stayed on earth for like continuing his work like that, the way people would have wanted him to have gotten old and gray and done multiple healings and still continue to do what he was doing, right?
Well, that's why Judaism doesn't recognize him as the Messiah, because he didn't stay and be the king that they wanted.
Right. Jesus needs a lot of freedom. We've talked to him about this. He's like, I needed way more freedom. It just wasn't for me to continue to stay on earth like the way people wanted me to. I was just there to do my work and to lay the foundation, lay the groundwork for, the second coming, to continue create the vision of heaven on earth. Like he fulfilled his life purpose here, and there wasn't a point in him continuing. But it's coming to a place in time now where the masters can stay. They don't have to leave. You get to really have that experience that people are and have been desiring from Jesus. And Jesus, actually, he's still in Israel. He hasn't left. He's on heaven's side, Israel, because he really loves the Jewish people. He's still working really hard there, to help them transcend their consciousness. He never left. Mm-hmm. There's a kinship he feels there.
So it'll all make more sense in Blogger in a second here.
Yeah, right.
We're not like that. And that's what Shaleieaa is leading to. We're not going to leave you and ascend like Jesus did.
Or like previous masters have done.
Mm-hmm. That's not what we're for. We will be here. We will continue the work.
We'll
we will not
probably
stop.
stay on earth for a long time.
We're here for the ascension. I have no intention of dying or leaving.
Yeah,
this is the new, capital of all of creation is Earth. And you're here a part of that ascension process. And you do it by loving yourself.
Right.
It's so simple, right?
These times were foretold in many, many ways, in many prophecies. The Mayan calendar being one of the many.
We met each other right after that ended.
We met each other not too long after 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I felt that big shift too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's when I met my spiritual teacher in the mirror work. It was January 2013.
Go ahead, Shaleieaa.
Or Shaleieaa?